Scorpio friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome for my Scorpio Eyes Only exclusive Scorpio report for March 2026. I'm going to give you a lot of important dates all through the lens of how Scorpio may experience this. This is for you if Scorpio is your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, or any other Scorpio placement you're listening for. What I'm going to talk about here is part of your astrological picture. Late degree Scorpio friends, so birthdays like November 15th through the rest of the sign or 23 degree placements through the rest of the sign, I suggest you additionally listen to my Sagittarius report, as you cuspy Scorpitarius friends will benefit from both readings. If you have a pen and paper handy, you may want it because I will be giving you important dates and you may want to keep track of them. If you do not have a pen and paper handy, then just in another browser right now, go to anniehelpsyou.com, click on Unleash, and you will get a written version of the things that I'm speaking about now, in addition to all of the sweet and salty, so the best, the worst, and the ones that could go either way, dates of March 2026. All right, so you can get that all at anniehelpsyou.com, click on Unleash. And here we go. So let's talk about the profile of the month. We're going to talk about all of this in layers because to really get a sense of the richness of possibility of any month, astrologically, we've got to talk about the different layers that are occurring at the same time that are bringing the storylines and experiences to you. So we've got Mars transiting North Node, the Sun, Pallas Athena, Mercury in retrograde, and Venus all in Pisces. This is a fellow water sign. That means the planets are speaking your language, the language of quiet connection, of sometimes less words, but more feeling. This is going to be a very feeling month, especially for the first 2/3 of it, and a lot of chances for emotional, heartfelt connections, romantically and otherwise. This is going to be a supercharged month creatively for Scorpio, so if you are a creative, then you will have massive amounts of opportunity to go back into old projects that you've been working on, to gain inspiration from your past work, and to get through to completion with some projects that you are hoping to prepare to bring out. And your time to launch these projects isn't quite yet, but it's coming soon. Topics of romance, of children, of love relationships, of bucket list things, things that get your passion fires zesty going, because this all has to do with the 5th house. That's where Pisces falls for Scorpio. And the 5th house is the house of Leo. And it's got this Pisces layer to it. So again, it's just this quiet, reflective space. And the Mercury retrograde cycle is also going to bring this quiet, internal, reflective time for you. So let's talk about some important dates. Mercury is going to be retrograde from 22 degrees back to 8 degrees of Pisces. The whole process of this retrograde, as well as these other Pisces placements, are going to make what's called trines, the most fabulous aspect in all of astrology for Scorpio. This is just sort of harmony where the planets are speaking the same language elementally to you. And, there's just a lot of coherence. Now, February 12th is when the pre-shadow period for Mercury retrograde started. From February 12th to February 26th, it descended into the official retrograde, and it will be retrograde until March 20th. And it will take until April 10th for it to recover from its Mercury hangover once it goes direct. So we've got this process occurring that is really very much like the earthworm, where you're going deep into relationships, deep into creative resources. Again, children is a very hot topic here. Children are a very hot topic here. So if you have kids, you'll notice that this topic may come up. And if you're trying to have a child, this can really, really have you reviewing this path. There may be lots of opportunities for your work to be seen at this point, so just look for those opportunities. It's not the best month for trying to conjure something or force something to happen because we are within this retrograde flow. Okay, so that means you are here on the shore, the tides are coming in. Trying to be proactive and putting things out on the tides will only make them come back to you. So this could be a really great experimental phase. If you have opportunities to experiment and kind of throw some things out there and get feedback, it's really great for that. But if you try to force something long-term like a launch or make something happen, those tides are just going to push back on you and offer a lot of resistance. But we've got a couple of points here that will start the shift of those tides. March 10th, Jupiter will go direct. That's very exciting. That's going to wake some things up that have been dormant since the end of 2025. We'll get back to that. Then on March 20th, when Mercury goes direct, you'll feel the next wake up. Also, March 7th, as Venus gets into Aries and starts the building Aries party, which then, of course, a lot of these placements are going to come and follow suit, you're going to feel the fire, feel that reflective space change into an action-oriented space, feel that pondering and reevaluating turn into decision-making. And you'll observe this and feel this as the month progresses. Now, when Jupiter wakes up, a lot of things involving home, family, housing, real estate may also wake up because that is the sign that Jupiter is in. There's been a major expansion of home and family with Jupiter from the middle of 2025 that will go until the middle of 2026. If some things seemed like they slowed down with their growth or expansion, then you'll notice that they're going to pick up now and really start building. If you are a Scorpio that is trying to expand your reach to the international scene, if you're trying to learn something or take on some educational projects through you as the teacher or you as the learner, you may see things moving forward in a big way here. Immigration topics or international travel or languages may also start to soar. Optimism also starts to pick up when Jupiter is direct. So for the 4 months a year, or 4 months of the Jupiter cycle, which isn't always neatly in a calendar year, sometimes we can feel a little negative, feel a little less inspired, feel like we're not looking at the bigger vision, like we're kind of losing some momentum with trying to move towards a bigger goal, and may even lose sight of what that goal is. But as Jupiter wakes up, those big ideas, those big visions, the optimism to pull them through, the hope, the creative solutions, you might feel that activation, pretty strongly, and it will be very welcome. One of the other main events of this month is we've got our second eclipse at March 3rd at 12 degrees of Virgo, a full moon lunar eclipse. We're in a cycle from the end of 2024 until the first part of 2027, where every 6 months we're having a Pisces-Virgo eclipse cycle. Now, this is activating the 11th and 5th houses for Scorpio, which has to do with your creative gifts versus you putting your gifts out into the world, your personal pleasures versus you being part of a group or a team. So if you're a Scorpio that has been kind of introverted, keeping to yourself, keeping to some close relationships, you may notice that the story of community is coming back into your life. And there may be more notches or more kind of cogs in the wheel of movement where you're feeling like you're part of something greater, where you're part of a community of like-minded people, that you are getting to kind of share part of yourself in a group setting. So you will see with this eclipse, there may be something notable that happens along those lines. Friendships, communities, online or in person, teams, things like that may really be activated by this eclipse. And there may be some sort of accomplishment that comes there where you're recognized or where there's, something that happens that's notable. There could be discernment with friendships. There could be new friendships. There could be old friendships from the past or something else that you did from the past that comes back front and center again. Think back to 2015 to 2017 when your social circumstances may have drastically changed. Also think back to 2006 to 2008 when you also may have had some changes there, because those are the last times that these eclipses were happening in these places. You also may have been creatively active or busy or advancing at those times. Something involving children or a romantic partner may have been noteworthy at those times as well. And you may see those sectors become very activated now that we're here at eclipse time. Now, the eclipse season really started in January and will last even into May, but the hot spots of manifestation are February, March, and the closer you are to the actual eclipse, which is right here at the beginning, the more you may notice something really life-changing happening. Because of the retrograde cycle of Mercury, it may take a little while before you can see exactly where these changes are going to go or what they mean for you, and to integrate them and kind of work them in. And if you do have to make the decisions that are big, binding, permanent decisions, as the month progresses, the later in March and the more you get into April, the more you'll be clear of that confusion and that short-term energy of Mercury. From April 10th to June 13th is our very big, amazing, important open window, free from personal planet retrogrades and their shadow periods. So if you do have to launch your big thing, if you do, are trying to do something important, if there's something involving a child, like, where you're trying to have a baby and you're making efforts along those lines, this energy is building and it gets very strong as we get into April. And then using this window between the middle of April and the middle of June, if you're trying to make something happen, you may have a better time at that point. Okay, so as the month progresses, and then Venus and then a lot of these other planets fall in line to start an Aries party, that's going to be very different for Scorpio, where we'll move past the world of the unseen and the unsaid, move past the realm where information is communicated through, the heart and through sensitivities and connection, and moved into the place of action-orientedness. There's going to be a lot of information and things going on having to do with relationships and money and self-esteem, because Venus is going to come and make conjunctions with Neptune, Saturn, Chiron, Eris, and Ceres. And that, since Venus rules love and beauty and money and relationships and finances, as it moves along, there's going to be a lot of activating forces that go on with these Aries energies. Now, those are in a little bit of an awkward aspect for Scorpio, which means that, I always like to explain it, there's a fiery pot being put to your water, there's a fire under your watery pot, and things are coming to a head. There may be nuisance things that trigger you into action. There may be great, exciting opportunities that trigger you into action. But action nonetheless will be how the month proceeds, especially towards the end. You'll feel that zest once Venus gets there March 7th, and that's going to build throughout the month. This is also a strong health focus. So you may be finally ready through necessity or through being proactive to work on your health, stress management, your daily habits that can bring you more joy. You also may have some new things that go on with your daily habits as this Aries energy introduces, like the birth of some new experiences. Pets, animals, health, work, career, business. Career from the bigger perspective is in the 10th house, but career from the day-to-day of what you do in your work. You may have a lot of tests, a lot of opportunities, and a lot of new ideas that are going to be able to be developed over the next few months. A nice point for making some wishes or some internal decisions would be in the days around March 18th, when we have that new moon in Pisces. Just a quiet time for you to be able to get some things clear within yourself, that as you're starting to bring some of these things out of yourself, you've got a nice, clarity point originating from this point as the upcoming weeks roll through. Final word about all of this water energy is we are going to have some grand trine points with your Scorpio energies and the Cancer Jupiter and these Pisces movements as they come into the middle degree and meet Jupiter here. So there can be some really, really, really important, wonderful, positive outcomes. And even though we are kind of covered in this retrograde, it doesn't mean major magic can't happen. So be on the lookout for synchronicity and for the language of spirit to be very loud, sometimes through less obvious things, and also for some really major things to happen with, your inner world and the gifts that you have and the things that you're excited and passionate about. It doesn't mean that you can't say yes to it just because it's in a retrograde. It just means that you may not have all the information or understand exactly what's going on to be able to make the best decisions. But it doesn't mean that you could or should not take opportunities as they come. Just remember, this short-term lens, or this lens of not having all the information yet, is going to be, something to consider as you move forward. If you resonate with my work, please subscribe, click like, and if you want the written star report that I talked about, the March report, then you can go to anniehelpsyou.com and put your name and email address in there. Just click on Unleash and put your info there. And in the welcome letter, it will give you instructions on how to get that monthly sweet and salty date report. If you want to see personalized reports for the outer planets, the ones that move slowly but bring major themes for your chart, go to Annie B. Clarity, Annie, the letter B, clarity.com. And if you want to learn astrology with me, if you resonate with how I teach and you want to learn, either to help you and your family and your friends or to do it professionally, I have an astrology certification course that you can check out at beastropro.com, beastropro.com. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.